Story 1. The visitor in the valley. We live in a small, isolated cabin in a remote part of rural Pennsylvania. It's night. The house is dead, quiet, and we're sleeping peacefully. Suddenly, we wake up to a loud thud. We're terrified, whispering to each other in the dark. My wife pushes me out of bed. Go and check the perimeter. I reluctantly grab a flashlight and inspect the house. Everything is quiet. Nothing is out of place. I go back to bed. 2 hours later, it happens again. This time, I clearly hear a noise from the side of the house. I go to the living room to investigate. Everything seems fine, but I'm trembling. As I'm about to turn around, I feel a cold, piercing gaze on my back. I think the window must have been left unlatched, so I go to lock it, pull back the heavy curtains, and scream. Outside, staring right at me, is an old woman with massive, milk-white eyes. She looks like a corpse that's been left out in the elements for weeks. I bolt back to the bedroom in a panic. 10 minutes later, we've calmed down, and I grab my handgun and walk around the yard. Nothing. When I return, my wife asks if I found any tracks, and then it hits me. Under that window, the snow is 2 feet deep, but there isn't a single footprint leading up to the house. The next evening, the power in the cabin cuts out. I head to the kitchen to grab candles. I walk in and run right into my wife. I'm stunned because I just left her on the living room sofa. We go to the bedroom. I open the door, and there, lying on our bed, is that same hag with those terrifying, dead eyes. We flee the house and call the sheriff's office. TLUS we probably just having a bad reaction to some local bootleg liquor. I keep wondering why the house was so cheap. Maybe the previous owners knew exactly who or what still claimed. Residents, there. Story 2. The knock on the glass eye. Was lying in bed in my apartment in downtown Chicago and couldn't sleep. It was a dead quiet Tuesday night. Suddenly, the silence was shattered by a sharp, rhythmic thump against the window pane. I froze. I started trying to talk myself down. Monsters don't exist. If someone wanted to break in, they'd just smash the glass, not knock. I turned the other way, terrified. I thought, maybe it's a stray bird or a drunk neighbor, but the knocking continued. Tears rolled down my face as I whispered to myself, they're on the outside. I'm on the inside. As long as I don't hear the glass shatter, I'm safe. Eventually, I couldn't take the suspense anymore. I took a deep breath and whipped my head around toward the window. I saw a pale, gaunt figure with hollow, black eyes looking straight into my soul. A horrible, wide grin spread across its face. In that instant, I realized the most soul-crushing detail. The figure had been standing inside my apartment the whole time, tapping on the glass from the inside, looking out of the city. Story 3. The ex-wife at this happened 2 years ago during a business trip to Seattle. Before heading to the airport to fly back to New York, I met a woman on a busy street, my first wife, Sarah, whom I had divorced 12 years earlier. She hadn't aged a day, though her face looked unusually pale. I loved her deeply, but I had nearly driven her to madness with my toxic jealousy, which led to our messy split. We were talking, and I realized I was going to miss my flight. Sarah asked, Mike, do me a favor. Just come with me into this building for 5 minutes. I'm scared to go alone. Primera, agreed. We entered a massive, old government-style office building, walking through endless halls and taking the elevator up. People were passing by, but it felt strangely dreamlike. Sarah went behind a heavy steel door, turned, looked at me, and said, How strange. I couldn't be with you, but I couldn't exist without you. She closed the door. I waited, and then I snapped out of it, realizing I was in a total daze. I looked around. The building I was in was an abandoned, condemned structure. The floors were rotting, the elevators didn't exist, and there were no office workers. I scrambled out and barely made it to the airport, missing my original flight by an hour. When I got to the gate, the news was flashing on the monitors. My original flight had crashed shortly after takeoff. 2 weeks later, I tracked down her old family home in New Jersey. Her sister told me the truth. Sarah had died in a car accident 11 years ago, a year after we divorced. I didn't believe it until she took me to the cemetery. From the headstone, the woman I still loved deeply was smiling at me, the woman who had miraculously saved my life from beyond.